All right, first things first. On a previously unseen episode of PixelBOX, because I never filmed it, I received this in the mail. This is a 8800 GTX. This is actually an OEM Dell version. And you can actually find these pretty cheaply on eBay. This one was only about $20. And it will have the extra little bracket piece on the end of it, which can easily be removed, and then it can fit in any case. I've definitely wouldn't shy away from the Dell editions just because they look a little different. They actually do also include an extra metal retention plate here on the side, which helps with the card's rigidity when using it. That's actually a really good option if you're looking for an 8800 GTX. And yeah, it works perfectly. I've already gone through a slew of benchmarks with this card, so not really much else to talk about as far as that goes. This next package is simply a graphics card received from eBay, actually from Goodwill auction, so that's kind of uncommon to find a graphics card from them. But you know, they do sell a number of kind of random things on eBay, which tend to be a little bit better researched than if you were to just simply go into one of their actual physical locations. And of course that means the prices tend to be a lot higher, but not in this case, because this was just an auction and it was relatively unnoticed by everyone else. Oh. All right, let's take a look. I'm actually really excited about this one. I accidentally cut the end of this electrostatic bag, so I guess I'll just pull it out from there since the work's already done. Anti-static bag. Not sure why I said electrostatic. It's amazing I'm able to touch electrostatic bags without any health consequences. All right, so this is an X800 XT. Yeah, sold from Goodwill. This had a starting bid of $10. I won it for $10 plus shipping. It was actually advertised as a Platinum Edition. The sticker on the back just says X800 XT. Usually you'll probably see like a PE at the end if it were a Platinum Edition, but nonetheless, this is a really cool card to own. I actually only had the X850 XT, which is a Platinum Edition, but it's really cool to have the original card, not the refresh from that generation. So I'll be testing that out, seeing how it performs, and you know, never know, maybe it is a Platinum Edition. All right, this box is full of computer parts. This was labeled as literally just basically a junk pile for gold scrap or gold salvage, which you see a lot of on eBay. Usually what happens is they'll list a whole bunch of just random stuff, and they won't know what's in it. They won't have any knowledge of the parts that they're selling, let alone if they even work. But you can often get them for very, very cheap because they're sold mainly based on weight. This is potentially really exciting because I saw some graphics cards in the photos for this auction that have the potential to be very, very valuable if they work. And you know, if just one of them is operational, it will easily pay for the entire lot in terms of value. This was not necessarily cheap. I mean, I'd love to say this was only about $10, but I got gouged on the shipping quite a bit. So hopefully it's packed fairly decently. I did send them send the guy a message to try to pack the video cards at the very least safely, but you know, everything else I didn't care about. All right, let's see what's in here. Okay, so literally everything is just thrown in this box in the worst possible way. No packing whatsoever. All right, let's see. So obviously, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of junk in here, which, you know, I gotta fish through to find the gold. All right, so networking card. This is it's the SCSI controller thing. So this is, I guess this is a graphics card here. MGA 64-bit graphics. Don't know anything about this. This could just be a video accelerator, but it is labeled Matrox. It's got a copyright of 1997. So, all right, so here we got a budget Quadro 2 card. This appears to be based on an MX chip. I'm not really that interested in this. There's going to be a lot of like kind of junk in here, so we'll kind of quickly go through those. This is a Rage Pro Turbo AGP. Not really interested in that. If it works, great. If not, so what? All right, so here's another Matrox card. This appears to be another budget card as well. This one has a copyright of 2001. This is probably not meant for gaming. Another SCSI controller, this time with a bracket. The 3D Rage Pro, non-turbo. These are kind of interesting because you could actually put in extra memory. I appear to use just standard EDO. Probably Mac. Again, not really anything interesting.
Networking card.
Another Rage Pro Turbo, an IDE controller.
SCSI controller.
This is a GeForce 2 MX400. A lot of people like to substitute this card for a GeForce 256 because it has similar performance. But yeah, I'll test it out, see if it works. All right, this is a GeForce 4 MX420 by PNY. So yeah. Oh, this is where it gets really exciting, and actually I'm kind of in shock here. I only expected to receive one of these cards. I'm looking at two of them in here. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. All right, so this is, either of these are ELSA cards based on the NV10. They could either be the very first Quadro card, Quadro SDRs, or they could be GeForce 256 SDRs. Either way, they would be an awesome find and fantastic to have working. Just having one would be enough, but having two increases the chances that at least one of these is working. Let's see if there's anything on here. Okay, so they're both labeled Gloria 2, so these are both Quadro cards. Still, fairly similar in performance to what a GeForce 256 SDR would be. It'll be really awesome to test them out, so can't wait to do that. But there's more.
What card?
God, there's a lot in here. Rage 2C, Rage Pro Turbo, Rage Pro. So I'm not really sure what this is. This could be, okay, this is another Matrox card. 1999, so this is more of an office card. Appears to be, oh, this is a Matrox card with upgradable memory. This one had a little bit of accident in the shipping. This is, I believe, a GeForce 2 MX based card, so nothing too exciting with that. I'll just put this back on here. This is a graphics card of some sort, and I have no idea what it is, but it's a PCI interface. Another Matrox card, another Rage Pro, Rage Pro. Okay, this is an ELSA Gladiac MX, 32 megabytes. So, another MX card. All right, this one is potentially pretty cool as well. This one is a Hercules 3D Profit 4000 XT. This is actually a Power VR card. This is the original Cairo. So they made a Cairo 2, which is a little bit more popular, but this is its predecessor. It needs some cleaning. If this works, this is another pretty good find. They're not super valuable. You can get them for about $20 or so online, but you know, if this works and some of the other cards work, that kind of adds up quite a bit. But there's some really good stuff yet to come. USB card, that is not one of the good stuff. Rage Pro, Matrox card. Man, another Rage Pro.
Another modem.
LAN, USB. Pretty much I'm clearing out everything and saving the best for last. This is a sound card. It's got a modem built in. ISO 16-bit. It says Roadrunner 1994. That's kind of cool. This is a TNT2 M64, 32 megs. All right, so this is one of the cards besides the two Quadro cards that I'm most excited about in this, and it is this guy right here. This is a diamond card, and this very much appears to be a TNT2 Ultra. Now the TNT2 Ultras typically command a fairly high price. If the seller knows what they have, they'll typically go for over $100, although sometimes obviously you can always maybe get a good deal if you're lucky. But this card, I mean, you can pretty much tell just by looking at the PCB what it is, but the sticker on the back confirms it. Viper V770U. So yeah, this is definitely a TNT2 Ultra. And yeah, if this works, this will more than double the value of the entire box here. So yeah, I can't wait to test this and see. But yeah, a lot of really good, potentially great finds here in this box full of junk. Yeah, I would have liked to have the cards actually packed decently and not just kind of thrown in there. That definitely could hurt them. And we're gonna find out for sure, but you know, fingers crossed. Stay tuned for the testing portion of the video, but I actually have one more box that I have to open, so stick with me. Okay, so this is something I got a while back, but held off on opening it until I had the opportunity to film, which now I do finally, which was more patience than I had with the 8800 GTX. All right. I should put a box in here with the box. This is sealed. All right, so yeah, it's obviously a motherboard. This is an ASUS CUBX, so if you're familiar with what that is, I don't have to tell you, but for those who aren't, this is a socket 370 Pentium 3 motherboard using the Intel 440BX chipset. Very respected, kind of revered chipset for retro computing. And it has a full complement AGP2X, lots of PCI slots, and of course the 16X ISO slots. I have another board already that has AGP, PCI, and ISA, which is the socket A board, but it uses the VIA chipset, and VIA kind of has an issue sometimes with various things, but notably with the ISO slot. The whole reason you'd probably want an ISO slot in a retro computer is to run a sound blaster, right? Well, it's very typical, and in fact, it did happen in my case, to get crackling in the audio and various issues like that when using a sound blaster. Particularly with when playing back PCM or WAV files, or not so much the synthesized music. That sounds all right generally, but anytime you get sound effects or you try to play WAV file, MP3 or whatever, yeah, you'd get that crackling in there. So not really ideal, but this is pretty much as ideal as you get with a kind of an all-in-one Windows 98 DOS gaming system board. This comes with a Celeron 333, I do believe. Got it for a reasonable price, not a killer deal or anything, but it wasn't, extravagantly expensive either. And it does have the cooler, so that's nice. We'll be testing that out. Should be a good board, especially for using older hardware, such as the original Voodoo. If you recall in the previous video, I had issues running the Voodoo in my Windows 98 machine, so that might require a board like this and a slow enough CPU. So yeah, overall, pretty thrilled about this haul. I got a lot of testing to do, so stick around for that. Alright, so needless to say, I will not be testing all the cards that you just saw in the big unboxing, but I will be testing the most valuable and important ones to me anyway. I'll start with the X800 XT because conveniently I already have my XP system hooked up here. Alright, we have post. Alright, gonna go ahead and install the driver. And let's check the clock speeds. Alright, so yeah, confirmed this is definitely an X800 XT, not the Platinum Edition, 500 megahertz on the core, 1 gigahertz for the memory, effectively. Yeah, awesome. It is rendering it perfectly. On to the next card. Alright, so this next card I'm also going to be using my XP system. This is going to be the PowerVR Cairo card. So let's go ahead and put that in. And there's a noisy fan on that card. Oh, that's a sign it doesn't work. Yeah, unfortunately this card is just a no-go in this system. Sometimes you might have compatibility issues with the PowerVR cards, so I'm not going to rule it out completely just yet, but yeah, I'm not getting any kind of display. Alright, next we'll start with the first Quadro SDR. Hey, we have post. What the hell? Alright, let's install the driver. Alright, those drivers didn't take, so let's try a different driver. Alright. Success, possibly. Another restart. Oh. That didn't work. Okay, we'll try a much newer driver. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's just showing a black screen, not getting any kind of video going here. So this card might actually be dead, might need some further testing, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second Quadro SDR. Okay, moving on to the second Quadro SDR. Ooh, that's not pretty. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this card is broken. So I'm just curious what happens when it tries to load the driver. Yeah, pretty much as I suspected, pretty much nothing happens. So, moving on. Alright, and now on to the TNT2 Ultra. Alright, post looks good. So Windows 98 already had the driver installed. It's one that's also compatible with the TNT2. Alright, it seems to have hung on this screen. It's not going any further. Alright, so this one is showing some issues as well. It's not booting into Windows, so this card may also need some additional testing later on. Alright, looks like we have a bit of a saving grace for the Quadro SDR. Here I am testing it in my XP system, and the drivers are up and running and working. So let's see if the performance is as terrible as it should be. Well, there you have it. It is running as it should. And I think I'm just going to play this game for a while. So unfortunately, the TNT2 Ultra still isn't really showing any signs of functioning, because I did try that card in my XP system as well. And while it's not outright beeping, like the Cairo card was, it wasn't showing any display. So it seems like it was trying, but it just wasn't getting anywhere. So it's actually worse off than it was in my 98 machine. But I'm going to keep working on that one. That's the one I want to work the most. And so I'm not going to really give up on it just yet. And so we'll have to just see how that goes. Alright, so upon further investigation into the TNT2 Ultra, I discovered that these two components on the end of the card have actually come off because it wasn't packaged at all when it was shipped. And I looked in the box and there they are. Now, the way they broke, the metal pieces on the sides of the components are still on the board. They've actually snapped off of the pieces themselves. And as you can see here, that leaves very little meat on the bone to actually solder with. In fact, I'm not sure I can actually make a viable connection on these. They broke right there on the very ends. There's a little glint of metal there, and I'm going to try to get some solder on there and see if I can't get it working, get it somewhat connected. But if this is indeed the issue, I can probably buy these components complete and whole without too much issue, and like, you know, from a parts store on eBay or something, and just take the legs off of the graphics card itself, just remove them entirely and then put new ones in, and maybe that will fix it. But let's try this first. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this episode of PixelBOX. And yeah, it's a little hit and miss, as it tends to be with these sorts of things. You buy a box of non-working parts that aren't tested. You really don't know what you're going to get. And at least one valuable card was working in the box without too much issue. So that's great. I got a Quadro SDR working. But the TNT2 Ultra is going to need some more work. Again, those missing components on the board that I discover are probably the reason why it's not really working quite right. I did attempt to solder them back on, but I just wasn't successful. There was no way to do it. So I'll probably have to buy those components brand new and solder them on, which I will be looking into pretty much immediately, because I really want to get it working. I think there's some signs of life in there, so I'm going to keep at it. But, you know, the X800 XT works perfectly, so that's awesome. Didn't have time to test the motherboard just yet, but it looks physically in good shape, so I'm pretty hopeful. And yeah, the Quadro SDR is working as well. So overall, pretty positive, in my opinion. If you stuck out this video for this long, thank you. And stay tuned for my next real video coming shortly. And until next time, I'm Nathan, and this has been Pixel Pipes.